So
I guess this isn't McAfee, so I got to watch my language, right? Yeah. So
I know. So
if I mess up and throw out one, make sure we can wipe it off. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I mean, you were part of media for a little while doing that. Any knocking off rust, getting back into coaching? What was it like getting back into coaching for you?
You got to get in football shape. You know, we tell the guys we're fixing to send them home for the summer, and you always worry about that, right? Because they're in great shape now, and then everybody's got a month off. So you want them to come back in football shape. But you really can't replicate, you know, the pads and all those kind of things. Coaching's no different, you know. So I'm pretty damn good on a Peloton. You know, I ride my tail off on that bike, but coming out and running around with these guys again, that took a minute, you know. And I don't have the bounce in my step that I used to, but it's been awesome. I'm so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to be back. You know, it's always something when you have something, you kind of take it for granted, and then when you don't, you realize just how special it was to coach and be a part of something, be a part of a team, have the relationships, you know, that you develop and build when you're part of something like that. So it's been awesome. Got obviously a gold standard of organizations, top down, the familiarity with John. Staff's a lot different, but felt like I knew everybody. Manny, you know, in the kitchen, you know, bugging me every day still, you know, like I never was gone. You know, see all, you know, a ton of familiar faces. So it's been, they've all made a, you know, pretty easy transition.
Besides Jameson still being here, what's been consistent about sort of, I mean, like you said, it's been a bunch of years since you were here last, but the organization's pretty famous for its consistency. What do you kind of notice off the bat?
Just the same. I mean, the standard is the standard. I know that's cliche, you know, but you know, the type of people, like, if you don't, John talked about it today, Gruden was here today, like, if you don't love ball, you can't survive it. You know, there's a big difference between like and love. You know, the relationship, you know, it's going to be 36 years in July for me and my wife. If I would have just kind of liked marriage, it would have been over probably 35 years ago. You know, but she sacrificed a lot, but you gotta love ball. And the type of people that they bring in here, the football character, the football IQ, the standards, what the expectations are, that hasn't changed. You know, just seeing Oz every day, Eric every day, John, it's like I never really left. Building's a little bit bigger, adding on again, some of those things, but it's been pretty seamless.
Chuck, when you look around the league, especially on the defensive side of the ball, you're seeing more positionless football, guys that can play all over the place. The Ravens have a couple of those guys on their defense. How different is that, you know, trying to scheme up and coach those types of guys compared to, you know, guys used to play just certain positions?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a guy, I'm assuming you're talking about a guy like Kyle, you know, Hamilton, you know, Marlon Humphrey, you know, veteran guy, been in the league a long time. Can play outside, can play the nickel. Kyle, play deep, play big nickel, play dime linebacker, play deep in coverage, play man, blitz, all those kind of things. When you have, you know, chess pieces, as we like to refer to them, and you can move those things around, not only, you know, his football character, but then his skill set, his ability to do all the things. You think about, you know, the wide receiver groups that we're going to have to face, the quarterbacks that we're going to have to face. You're going to have, you know, dudes like that. Roquan, I was with Roquan, as you guys know, in Chicago. You know, I knew the minute, you know, he came over here that he was going to be a game changer, you know, for this defense and for this unit. Those guys, again, they're football smarts, their football IQ, their love for the game, their passion for the game, their passion for playing for one another is off the charts. So you can't have enough of those guys.
Chuck, how do you ensure that the secondary hits the ground?
1 second.
Zach's going to be a second-year play caller. What has stuck out to you about him so far?
Zach is awesome. As you guys know, ton of energy, ton of juice, ton of passion. Super smart, super intelligent. He knows this, you know, defense inside and out. I just look at the transformation like what happened here on defense when you look at from the bye week on, there wasn't a better defense in the National Football League. They gave up probably an average of 270, 280 yards total. Pass defense was awesome. Rush defense, of course, they led the league anyway in that. Turnover margin, third down, everything was number 1 or 2 in the National Football League. So I think it's a process, and stepping into that role. I stepped into that role back in 2011 here, and I coached the secondary for 3 years. And then all of a sudden, a guy leaves, and you get the opportunity of a lifetime to do that play call. That's a process. That takes time. Now the system, has been in place. The players were, the same. So Zach's fortunate that way. I was really fortunate that way, and he's got a bunch of great coaches. Excluding one 65-year-old man, in that defensive room. So I'm just trying to do my part, stay in my lane, know my role. But yeah, he's been tremendous. And the thing about Zach, he's going to hold himself accountable. He's not afraid to hold his kids accountable, his players accountable. And he's going to be honest with them. He's going to be upfront. He's going to be forthright. He's going to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, which is huge. That's a great quality to have.
Chuck, how do you ensure that the secondary hits the ground running this year? Because I think those guys would be the first to say that they didn't play up to the standard that they expected for the first half of last year.
I think we're off to a great start. Right now, Donald DeLessio is a secondary coach. He comes over from Kansas City. He's done a phenomenal job to this point of getting not only the veterans that have been here, but these young players, these rookie players, Malachi, a couple corners that we drafted, BK and Bean, so he's done a great job. But we've got another, handful of OTAs. We've got a mandatory mini camp. We'll do a great job and give these guys kind of a prescription when they leave for that month of what to, keep working from skill development. They'll have their iPads. They'll get to take all the tape home, all the corrections home, all the film home, and keep studying, and keep growing that way, so that when training camp comes, it isn't like, back in the day when I was here in 08, we were going to Westminster. There was no CBA in place that said you had to, practice, shorts, maybe spiders, then maybe get into pads, have this ramp up. Like day 3 we were full pads, day 4 we were full pads, day 5 we were full pads, and it was 2 a day. So you couldn't. And my point is, like, you had to show up in shape, and you wouldn't make it through the first 3 days of camp. This is really no different. So we've got, a good veteran group. We got, leaders in the back end there that we will lean on. Donald and myself will lean on to stay connected with all the guys in the back end, so that when we do show up, we hit the ground running. We're in shape, physically. If you don't show up in shape, then as soon as you get tired, this thing slows down. You lose focus, you lose concentration, then you have, a bad day, and then fall maybe by another. Can't happen.
Chuck, was there an epiphany you had that made you want to get back in, or
what's that?
How did this opportunity come about? If you gave us a lot of background, was this something that was kind of stewing with you, that you were kind of getting the itch to get back in?
Yeah, I never really stopped thinking about coaching, thinking about the game. I was fortunate, Pat having me on and doing that show, being on the program with him and the boys. That was kind of my football fix. But that was 6 months out. That was football season. But it kept me connected to the game. But I never really stopped thinking about, maybe coming back at some point. My kids, my wife, my daughters. I got 3 daughters. I got 5 grandkids. They don't know any better, but they all thought I retired too young, as it was. But it was 2020, coming off of COVID, and I just kind of had enough. I was like, okay, I need a break. Probably like everybody else in the world, but never really stopped thinking about it. This was just probably the only opportunity that would get me off the couch, because I was playing golf and working out, playing with my grandkids. Life was pretty good. A lot of my friends back home like, are you out of your mind? Why would you go back to the grind? You can't replicate this. You can't replicate the grind. It's hard to fill your days. You know, my day was usually, I was done with the workout, honeydews, chores, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I can't start drinking, you know. I'll wait till a certain time to start that. But, you know, it's hard to fill your days, you know, so, yeah, it was like I said, the opportunity of a lifetime, and probably the only place that could get there.
Has McAfee rubbed off?